Welcome to the China Export Controls webinar on the State, the Outlook, the impact of Chinese export controls. It's really exciting that you could join me, and I'm very, very happy that you take the time to, first of all, explore a little bit more about Customs Manager, but also understand this this attempt of China to implement export controls. And I've prepared this little presentation, and hopefully this will give you a good overview of where we are at the process and what the prospects are, and also give you some guidance of what you as a business have to do or can do to prepare for it. As you know, this is a presentation by Customs Manager, and Customs Manager has been set up to create the world's largest community of empowered customs managers and global trade professionals. We have three ways we want to support us, the customs world: professional legislative monitoring, and make sure that you don't have to look at the legislation, and we'll do it on our end and share it with you. Ongoing training and education, this is part of this. And then, of course, first-class support for any of your questions and also help with your comments. And we hope that by combining these things, we can strengthen the overall CGT, Customs and Global Trade profession, and make sure that nobody is left alone in their own walls, but feels supported. And that way, we want to make sure that we're always up to date, always well-trained and well-supported, and then we can grow, then we can focus on growing our business effectively, efficiently, and of course, compliant. So always up to date, always learning, and always supported. We do this, as I said, one point is the ongoing education and training. And as you can see here, there are two ways you can learn with us. Either you do it yourself, so you upskill yourself, you become the better you become the CGT expert, or you say, you know what, I have a team and that team needs to be upskilled. Why don't I team up with Customs Manager and we design a training plan using modern technology, using blended learning, uses anything that works to design a program that works. So as we move now to China export control, some people are surprised that China is actually enacting an export control law. Well, you shouldn't really be, because this is a world power, and if the US can do it and if the EU can do it, then other countries will of course do it themselves. What's different now, China has had an export control law, but it really never was the front and center of our discussions. We were always heading towards the US, we were always looking at the EAR, we were looking at ITAR, we were looking at the EU dual use regulations. Whenever did we pay attention to anybody else really outside these two jurisdictions? But as we move into the new years, into the 20th century and through the 21st century, one thing we start to notice, China becomes more prominent wherever we go. In the world of economy, made in China grows. And guess what? China is not done with us yet. Not only are they investing heavily in infrastructure all over the world, including Europe, including Italy, including Africa, many parts of Africa. Not only are they investing in the Belt and Road initiatives and building infrastructure to connect China with the world. No, now they're also tackling export controls. Let me explain. So what we're going to talk about in the next 45 minutes to 1 hour is this. I'm going to give you a bit of a background. We always have to think about the political and the geopolitical situation, because this doesn't happen in vacuum. Then we're going to look at the law, we're going to look at the what, the who, the when, and the how. Some definitions, as we always do in export controls, related to what's exports, what's re-exports, and also, does this actually exist in the Chinese law? We know about, for example, the US extraterrestrial controls. Well, do they also control it? Do they also exist in China? What about deemed exports? What about de minimis? What about all of these good things, right? Does that feature in the Chinese? And I'm not speaking Chinese, but I know people that do, and I spoke to them, and they kind of helped me with things. We're going to talk about list-based controls and also a little bit compare how the Chinese export controls relate to controls that we know in the EU, but also in the US. We'll then have a look at how they manage restricted parties and additional controls. This is important especially for software providers, right, who constantly have to update these lists on a daily basis. Talk about sanctions and compliance. So what happens if you do get it wrong and who's concerned? and also what businesses can do before I draw some conclusions. So that's the plan. Lots to get through, so let's get cracking.